I'm usually.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to.
I know. It's like they missed the beginning of the conversation and you're trailing off as the show starts. It's like, what are they talking
It just
about?
gets me going on a conversation, and it's like, oh shit, showtime. And it's like, I don't know whether to finish the conversation with Candace or say hello to all six of us on here. Sophie and freaking order. He made it. No, he didn't make it.
Well, he said he made it, but I don't know if he made it or
What
not.
did he make?
Well, that's what I asked.
Oh, yeah, you did too.
Yeah, maybe he made a birdhouse. I don't know.
It's Ken. We really don't know what he made. And sometimes we shouldn't ask that question.
Yeah. It's like you just look at it, you smile, and you say, oh, that's nice, Ken.
Attaboy, as long as you got it in the potty, we're good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How was your week been? What's been going on?
Not a lot. We've been Nancy has been down at up at this food show at the Congress Center, and with that robot that we showed you last week. And hey, Phil, Mary Claude, how is it going? And yeah, making lots of friendlies up there, I guess. And she's been getting in probably 10:30 at night, leaving here at 6:30 in the morning, and she can't speak. That's why she's not on here tonight.
Okay. Vow of silence.
Yeah, well, her voice is gone. It's totally gone. Yeah. I mean, I've got diminished hearing, and it's like I would not do well in that situation. It's like, oh my God, I go out to a restaurant, and it's not the kids anymore. Maybe it's just me, but when I go to a restaurant, it's like sometimes the music's too loud.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I've become one.
You've gotten old. What can you do? So I'm
continue getting old. That's about my only option. It ain't going to go the other way.
So this week I finally got around to getting the robot vacuum working.
Oh, yes.
It's roaming around. We've given it a name. It's named RoboBlaze, sort of in honor of my dead cat.
Right.
So RoboBlaze she gets around and pesters the cats, and she sucks up anything that gets under her way. And she's really she can angle herself up over little edge things. And I'm like, holy cow, that thing is actually quite versatile.
So it doesn't clean the same spot twice?
I don't know. It did the kitchen twice. It went up and did the kitchen, and then it came out and cleaned some other place, and then it decided it must have missed a place in the kitchen because it went back to the kitchen.
Maybe and then it was hungry looking for scraps.
Maybe. At the end, then a voice will say, time to return to charge. And then RoboBlaze turns around, finds her way back to the charger, and drives up onto it and starts charging.
Yeah, I don't. So how, does it ever fill up with stuff?
Well, there's a vacuum at the charger that sucks her dry every time she comes back. Sucks the dirt out of her. There's a box. It all goes into a box.
We need to replay and delete, edit that real quick.
There's a box that pulls.
I had nothing to do with that. I am so happy.
Yeah. Anyway.
Wow, you just went pow, 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 pow. It was like you used the whole barrel on that one. It was like, whoa.
Well, we're talking about vacuums.
I know we're talking about vacuums, but someone number 13 and 14 that just dropped in here went, what in God's name is Candace talking about?
Yeah. Well, anyway, so it does that. Every so often you have to, the base station, every so often I'll have to empty that where it puts the dirt that it pulls out of the box. Trying to not use.
Wait a minute. It doesn't keep it in the thing and then go and deposit it in the base station. It just keeps it in the unit.
No, it has a vacuum in the base station. It sucks it out of the unit into another holding facility.
Oh.
And then I empty the holding facility because it has much more volume. So, every so often I have to empty that.
Did not know. So I always thought it was held in the actual round unit itself, but that's just a temporary.
That's a temporary
transporter. Yeah.
Yeah. So it temporarily puts it there and then it moves it into a bigger one. Otherwise, then I would have to empty the one on the robot every single time. And,
Now, does it ever get plugged?
Not so far. It actually sucked up a cat toy the other day. And I was like, oh, it successfully sucked up a cat toy.
Really?
So yeah, I think it has. I think
Well,
it's pretty versatile.
there's an experiment. That's what I want you to do. I want you to put something that is just inconceivable that the thing can get, and I want you to
Like a
tape what
big
it says.
towel.
So you think, help me,
Well,
help me.
yeah, well, have to try something, but yeah, no, it seems to be pretty cool. So that's my robot. Now it's not very smart, but what can I say?
Well, if it's saying I got to get back and get recharged, now does it return to the charging
Oh
area itself?
yeah, yeah, it knows
Really?
where it is.
Really?
Yeah, so it navigates back to it.
Have you ever put up like little empty toilet rolls and make a little pylon course?
Well, I haven't thought about doing that, but I bet you it would do good because it's got sensors. It seems to be able to sense everything around it. Like if there's a
Any better
box
than
on the floor, it'll move around the box.
Now I wonder who got the automation first, the vacuum or the Tesla? Because one of them's not up to par, I'll tell you that much.
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I think the vacuum has been around longer than Tesla's, for sure, and probably has less accidents.
Well, it cleans up accidents.
Well, yeah. Well, it does that too.
Is it? So there's a question for you. Does it have the capability of wet dry?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much. I know that it'll actually wash the floor.
What?
Yeah. No, I can put a pad on it, and it will then wash the floor. So it does it has different functions.
I did not know. And who
Now, I
makes
have
this?
not tried yet. I haven't read that part of the instruction book yet.
Oh, okay.
The Bill's bugging me. Like, get that part going.
Well, yeah, because it's like we paid for it, make it work.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, we have a cleaning person who comes in and does the house for us once a week, but in between, when the cleaner's not here, it'd be nice to have something just zooming around doing it.
Huh. Well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Well, there you go. There you go. So just before we came on, folks, I've learned to always think before I speak about Candace's background. So in the comments, what does her background relate to today?
Mm-hmm.
And Jill, you can't answer this.
I didn't tell her what the background is, so she wouldn't know. Well, I mean, she's smart, so she might figure it out. But she doesn't have advanced knowledge of what this background is all about.
Okay.
We'll see who gets it first.
Let's see who does get it first. I'll tell you, the reason I said that, I wonder if the vacuum cleaner has more intelligence than, did I tell the story last week about the bloody Tesla that cut me off?
No.
I'm coming down. Well, a lot of people don't know. It's a 2-lane each way, and it's, I don't know, mid-afternoon, whatever the case is, and there's not a soul around me. And yes, the dentist. What does it mean? What is this? What is the significance of her background? So Muggsy said dentistry, and Mary Claude said dentist. Yes, but what does that have to pertain to?
We're all just agreeing that it's the dentist's office right now.
Yeah. Anyway, I would have thought that, in the Tesla, I understand it's autonomous and that some models, maybe this was an older model, maybe it was not. I don't know. They kind of all look the same. When you get down to the smaller car versions of them, the smaller models, but you would think that they had some sort of driver assist blind spot detection. Nope. This puppy, I'm watching it, and it's like all of a sudden this thing starts drifting into my lane. Automated dentistry. She has a toothache.
Muggsy got it.
Muggsy got it.
Yeah.
Muggsy got it. The Fed budget. Yep. And I couldn't believe that this vehicle, now whether it was in the automated mode or whether it was the driver, either or, one of those two didn't get it right. Because they had just passed me. Like, if he just, like, where did he go? Well, I know where he is. He's in my blind spot, but goes to show you. Be careful. I got a doozy of a clip coming out later on this week, I think, that'll show you something. It's like, going down what's called, we call it, well, you refer to it as Hurontario Street, which is in Mississauga, or Highway 10, and it's a doozy. It's
called
just,
it first.
oh, I'm sorry.
I guess we missed that.
She has the door shut, and we can still hear her, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I could hear her
Jill,
starting.
Jill
from
got
the
it first,
top.
everyone. I'm sorry.
I could hear her from the third floor starting to come down. It's like, I got it first. I got it first. I was like,
I'm sorry. I just went on your lead. See, there you go, get me in trouble again, saying, "Oh, Muggsy got it first," and it's like it was right above it. Jill's answer.
yeah. I missed. Well, that's because he had the Fed in there. As soon as I saw the Fed, I was like, oh, there it is. And I stopped going up. I was like, oh, I can't believe I missed that one. Oh well.
Yeah, well, we were corrected.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, yeah. So we might as well talk about that, the budget, and it's what, $480 billion or something like that is what it's going to be over 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of an interesting budget. For one, you can tell it's not an election budget. So normally with an election budget, they're throwing money like crazy. I kind of got the impression that it's the type of budget where they don't want to give away the house and they also don't want to piss anybody off at the same time. But yet they're also trying to make sure that Jagmeet Singh is happy. And it's kind of sort of boiled into there. Now there's a few things. One issue I have is where they basically said, oh, well, we're gonna find $15 billion worth of savings somewhere. Well, to me, that means you're going to hope to find $15 billion in savings to pay for some of this other stuff. So I'm the type that come to your budget and actually say, okay, we've already identified a whole bunch of areas where we're going to save this money from, and be a little bit more clear. I didn't find that they were that clear. But I mean, other than that, there's not a lot you can get really upset about with the budget. I mean, it was probably less spending than they normally have lately. So it was good to see a little bit of restraint.
So maybe it wasn't as all lackluster as we thought it was, because you are right. They probably have been doing a lot of things leading up to it, of, giving this out and that out, maybe whether it's for the purpose of keeping, the NDP happy and keeping that relationship alive. What I find, I don't know if I find it humorous or whether I find it to be a slap in the face, but it was the part of, they've built into this budget things that are going to be fight inflation, and that 11 million people, which is what, approximately third of our population, is going to get, what was it, a couple $100 back or this or that. And
Yeah,
I'm thinking,
basically, it's almost
nothing.
double the GST, but it is really nothing. It's basically
nothing.
It's like, here you go. This is from the federal government. You can now get a basket of fresh produce for the day.
But you know what, Candace? In all honesty, maybe we should rethink that. And to some people, that's a lot.
Maybe. I mean, and that's true. I mean, if you're already in a situation where you're buying really cheap food because you have to, then that could definitely go a lot longer.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't.
Things.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. If they were to say $15 billion, so that was going to put our budget over 500 billion. Like, I don't understand where you say $15 billion, and what was the fact of sorry, I just got a text to stop that. Oh my God, I lost my train of thought.
One area they said they were going to definitely look at as well is the amount of flights that MPs use.
Oh, that was it. Not the flights. But Jesus, where was it? Was it local council, or was it the prime minister's salary was going up and the MP salary were going up and stuff like that? And it's like, why? Like, these guys are our leaders, and I mean, I understand, they took this job for the clout, not necessarily for the money, but it does sure turn to money, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, you gotta say what's going on. I mean, poor Chrystia Freeland has to cancel her Disney Plus, so maybe she needs a raise.
Come on, what?
Oh, do you remember that whole thing that happened months ago? Oh, she
No.
came on and said, "Oh, people, mothers around the country are starting to cancel Disney Plus to save money because of because of some of the economic hardships." And she was just so
Blatant
everybody
about it.
really
Yeah.
went crazy about it online because it's like,
Yeah.
seriously, you think that solves inflation? Just cancel your Disney Plus?
Yeah.
So she had that whole big thing and it created a whole stir. But
Yeah.
that's where that came from. That's why you didn't realize why that was kind of funny.
Well, I know that at the local level for politics, I mean, when I was running back in 2014 for the municipal
Mhm.
election here, um, had I been successful, uh, I think the average salary for a town councillor was $51,000 or something like that.
That's not bad.
It's not bad at all, but um, and I think some people think that it's $51,000, and there are some councillors, depending on the size of their constituency and where they are, like have this as a part time, being a councillor is a part time job, and have a real job, and so
Mhm.
on and so forth, and to make money at least at the and I may be talking out of turn. I stand to be corrected. Go ahead, correct me. But to make money at the local level in municipal, you made more money being a town councillor and a regional councillor, which was it's in our municipality it's dual.
Mhm.
So we have for every ward we have here we have a local councillor and we have a regional councillor. So we have one that represents us on the regional level and one that represents us on the low, or I guess local level as well. But on top of that, if you were on the police services board, then you would get more money than that. So the mayor
Okay.
gets X amount of money, and then because I don't know if he's the chairman or if he's something on the police board, he's making X amount
Mhm.
more per year, and I think he may be over $200,000 or whatever the case is, but he bloody well works for it. Comparatively speaking to um, maybe someone who is up in Sauble Beach, South Bruce, the town of South Bruce Peninsula,
Mhm.
where the population goes down very, very low into the, maybe the low double digits of population wise for the whole area over the winter, and then grows, seasonally in the summer and stuff like that. But there's not a lot going on there, and I would imagine that they don't live solely off of their uh, wages as being on town council there.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I think politicians, right from the lowest level to the highest level, are paid a lot. So we should have high demand for what they do. Um, it seems to me, though, a lot of the higher level ones, like they take a lot of days off. You take a look at the House of Commons, like their winter break is like months, and their summer
Yeah,
break is months.
yeah.
Now, mind you, even though it is that amount of time, some of that time is probably spent back at their constituents in their offices there. So they may still be working in their own ridings, but
I think the most, I mean, and depending on the different levels, whether it's the regional, or whether it's the local, whether it's the provincial, whether it's the federal, depending on your visibility, there is a lot of public appearances that you've got to do in order to be successful. Because the one thing that I know, and I'm sure you'll agree with, is that the moment that an election does, the next day after the being reelected is when your campaign for the next election starts,
oh yeah.
without a doubt. And there's they have they have people who are assistants in the office, and so on and so forth, that I think probably do a brunt of all the work for them,
Oh yeah.
and because they have public appearances and they have other things to keep going. But it was interesting. Was it Doug Ford? Did he have sour grapes about the federal government not allocating more to the provincial coffers?
He
Or was it
may
the city?
have. He
Sorry,
may
sorry.
have.
Was it the city of Toronto was angst at Doug Ford because the provincial budget didn't give something? One of them is
Yeah, well, I
ticked at
know
one
that
of
at
them.
one point he wanted to cut down the size of the government in Toronto, and
Yes.
they were like, "That's technically not your jurisdiction." And he was just
Mhm.
like, "Yeah," he says, "I don't care. We're cutting down these
Mhm.
some of your numbers."
They
So I
did.
know But then again, that was when he first got in.
Yeah.
He made a lot of basically, I got a majority. I'm doing what I want. I think the pandemic really tempered him down a lot. Like he's not so brash as he used to be.
Yeah.
And it was actually interesting. Like, I mean, I thought he was too a bit of a showman, very brash. But during the whole pandemic, I thought he did a half decent job.
It's
So,
it doesn't matter what flag you're flying, party wise. The
mhm.
pandemic was a true test of leadership. And really, there were a lot of things that, I mean, there were probably agreements, and there was more teamwork between parties during the pandemic, especially right at the beginning in March 2020, and maybe for that first year, than maybe there's ever been. I don't know. Maybe wartime has proven it, but it just seemed that the parties just said, "Yeah, man, we got to work together as one and forget about, yeah, do this, do that." And there, I don't know, but it didn't seem like there was a lot of, yeah, but what about us over here and over there? Now, set aside the first responders and our healthcare workers and stuff like that. That was a crap show right from the start,
Oh, yeah.
and that's a whole different topic. But that's to lead a province, a country, a municipality through that, it's tough.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it was more or less. I think everything was almost bipartisan for the first
Mhm.
year,
Mhm.
and then everything fractured at that point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you knew the honeymoon would be over sooner or later. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
I'm actually surprised that Jasmeet and Justin are still together, if you will, on that agreement. I'm
Mhm.
surprised. I'm
Well,
still I'm waiting I'm
I
waiting for
think
that shoe to drop.
as long as they keep the dental thing moving, Jasmeet, he'll speak harsh words, but he will still not back down because I'm pretty sure he's not going to be the leader in the next election for the NDP. I think he's having kind of his swan song, and I think he wants to be remembered as the Canadian who sort of maningered, what kind of word is that? Engineered bringing in the dental care. I think that's what he wants. He wants to be sort of the Tommy Douglas of dental care, and that becomes his legacy. So I think that's what he's after here.
So fair enough, but and you can run with this better than I can. But what is the layout and the execution of this dental care over how many years, and how are they doing it? Because I always, at the back of my mind, I always go back to the fact of indigenous people need money for water, so we give them money for water, and it gets to council, the council, and it just doesn't filter any further down.
Hmm.
And I'm just wondering, how relevant is that with the dental care, and it getting stuck in the coffers of the hospital boards and paying people, and just like it was with the banks and stuff, where it went to pay out bonuses and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just, I just don't believe some of the stuff, and I just think it's just
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be clunky
words.
probably for
Huh?
a while. I
Yeah.
mean, it does work now. Like you get I don't know if it's a reimbursement that your dentist gives you something and you then give it to get your money back from the government. Um, but right now, like last year, it was just for kids, and then this year, now going forward, it's going to be for anybody under 18. So I think last year it was under 12. So now it's under 18, and they've thrown in the seniors as well. So I believe it's 65 and over. Um, I think what you're going to see though is they're going to have to come up with something, whether there be a dental card or something. They
Yeah.
need to find a better way just to make it more seamless and not create a whole bunch of paperwork and trying to mail things off and get reimbursed.
Well, double
Um,
pays. Look at
yeah,
look
they
at
want
look at
some.
the shit show. Pardon my French, but look at that. What was created with the CERB, and now they're
Oh
asking for all the
gosh.
money back, and now they're chasing it. Now they're now it's become
Mhm.
threats, and it's, at least in my mind, the way that the group benefits, if you will, work now is, I go into my dentist, and my dentist has a validated computer system that they can go in and say, yeah, you're validated for us to submit this online, and you're legit. Whereas if it's, government always loses things and it doesn't have the detail
Mm-hmm.
that maybe not a privately held, but a corporation like Manulife or something that's got to be accountable to their shareholders. Now, don't get me wrong. There's stuff that's probably fraudulent there too. But I just think the government, every time they put their hands in this, has a tendency to pickle it up. Why did they get rid of, like, Drive Test, for example? They privatized that.
Mm-hmm.
They look at them, on one hand saying we're going to help, and then on the other hand saying, well, we're going to privatize clinics and CT scans and all this and that.
Yeah.
It's like, and
Well, I mean,
why did Jazz Meet pick dental care? Why didn't he pick healthcare?
well, we already have healthcare.
Yeah, but are they going to be, what if he had made as big a deal about healthcare as he did dental? Do you think it would have had more of an impact
I would say
to help
no.
retain? Okay.
I would say no. I mean, dental is a
Mhm.
huge thing. There's a lot of people who have really bad teeth because they just can't afford it.
Mhm.
And the problem is, if your teeth are really bad, that it can impact your whole overall health
Oh,
because,
gotcha.
you know, it's not a good thing. It's something that does need to be fixed. Now, what I think they should have done is roll it into healthcare, but where healthcare is provincial, a federal, you can't do that federally, but I think that should be a long-term goal, is to try to find a way to work with the provinces to roll it in, just to make it into one seamless thing. You get your health card that covers dental as well.
Mhm.
It would save a lot of paperwork, save a lot of redundancy, save a lot of just the money that right now anybody who's looking for reimbursements and people who are checking to make sure that they're under 90,000 and that they're within whatever the limit is that they do have, because I believe there's an overall limit that you're allowed to have each year. So, it's a lot of extra work that's being done. A lot of people, you're paying money to have this all administered. So, they need to find a way to make it seamless.
Well, and that's part of my point too, is to say, okay, fair enough. Jazz Meat, good for you, so on and so forth. But as you just hit the nail on the head by saying, how much of this allocation is actually going to be administrative, where they're just chasing their tail a lot of the time,
Yeah.
and it doesn't trickle down to the folks that really need it.
Oh yeah. Well,
Like,
no, it's still going to trickle down to the folks, because they'll, let's say they say you're allowed to have 5,000 a year, and I don't know exactly how much it is, to be honest, but let's just say it were $5,000 worth of dental work a year. That means that for every one person, instead of the 5,000, then there's going to be all of the administration that goes. So that person would still get the 5,000, and if it took, say, an extra 500 to administer it, so be it. That's kind of the way it would work. But that would mean that when you're looking at that 15 billion or 19 billion they're putting into it, a certain percentage of that's going to be administrative.
what do you think? Half?
No, not half at all. You're probably, I would say, not even 10%, but
Really?
maybe 10%. But because you got to realize that one person is going to be able to administer. Let's say you create a full-time job for somebody who's administering all of this. They're not just going to be administering a couple. They're going to be probably administrating 1,000 people every week or something like that, just going through. So you wouldn't need a ton of people, but
Well, you're going to now have to hire a whole bunch of new people for this.
Well, you'd have to hire new people, but then you could basically then say, look, we're creating jobs. It's kind of the way it is. It's like, yeah, we're creating jobs because,
Right. Yeah.
We created this bulky system that needs
Yeah.
to be administered, So.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, you soon realize to a certain extent that the government can almost, do whatever they want to do. I mean, I don't know that it's like the olden days where they relied on the taxpayers to pay up and to pay their money to fund all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point in time, did our line move to where it's like, oh, we'll just print more money?
Well, that's because
did the line move?
We moved off the gold standard. There's nothing to stop us from printing more money.
There you go.
But just stepping back for a second, have you heard about what's happening in radio? There,
No, I haven't tuned into that one.
there
No.
is a new radio. It's not a radio station, but it's sort of a company that provides a service for radio stations. It's called
Oh,
Radio GPT.
yes, I have heard of that. I saw that in a headline, but I have not delved out. So do tell, because I don't know
All right,
much
so
about it.
Radio GPT is a 100% AI powered radio station. So you sign up for them, and they'll give you AI DJs with AI voices that sound human, and they can also do your social media tweets and everything in the radio station they can do. So you can create a 100% AI radio station.
For you, or is this
No,
is
this
this
is
like
big time.
this is like tuning into a Q107?
Well, yes, because I'll give you an idea. Rogers has signed up to this service, and
Okay.
they have 55 radio stations across Canada. And I've just found out Bell Media has also signed up. And there is a website, like they have a sample Radio GPT. If you just do a search on Radio GPT, it'll pull it up. Do not play it on the stream, though, because there's copyrighted music in it. But it's worth checking out after the stream. And they show you, here's the interesting thing. Any interesting story that happens anywhere in the world, the AIs instantly know about it. So when they're in between songs, they can tell you stories. Like one of the sample stories I thought was funny is that, there was a raccoon that got stuck to the railroad tracks, and some of the people were trying to cut its fur to get it off before the train came. I was like, that's so bizarre, but it was kind of funny.
Jesus.
But apparently they
wait a minute. Did the raccoon survive?
Well, apparently, yes, because the village people saved the raccoon. So
Wait a minute. The village people?
No, not the village people, the group. The people in the community.
We are talking about AI here, Candace. My mind can go anywhere. You understand
Yes,
that, right?
absolutely. Yeah, but no, there was no YMCA involved. So,
I almost let something slip, and I just, that was a save.
Oh, that's cool. Oh dear. But yeah, so it's one of these things, like you have an AI that knows everything, any piece of information, like breaking news, bang, you get it instantly.
Okay, but hang on a second. Even you said that it's only, or ChatGPT, now that was session. Version 3 was only up to what, 2020?
2021.
2021. So we're 2 years.
4 is also 2021, but there are add-ons to get around that will get you around that restriction. And that damn thing I told you about a couple weeks ago, that also gets around that restriction. So, for example, I was doing a video the other day and I wanted some information on some recent event. And I was like, oh my God, I don't have time to research this event. So I used the damn thing and then got ChatGPT 4 to do it because it was stuff that happened in the bear market and I just wanted some information.
So, hey, Soraya. So that's a really good point, is because CRTC governs X amount of content Canadian and there's censorship and this and that and that and this, how do they do that with AI?
You just give the AI the algorithm and they will hit the exact number of Canadian content they need to.
Okay, fair enough. So that's that answered. But how about censorship?
You just let them know what words they can and can't use. I mean,
Okay,
you build a rule set to say, okay, these are the rules of what can and can't be said on air.
Who does? Who builds it? The government.
Well, obviously, probably the radio station, the CRTC, because they already know what rules are existing. Like, I imagine if you're a brand new DJ and come in, they're like, yeah, so these are the words you're not allowed to say on the air.
I get a bad feeling.
Most of them are common sense, like, you can't say, for example, the F word on the air, or you probably can't say, a whole bunch of words, but.
I get a bad feeling about this being state-run radio now.
Well, technically, it's going to be, Rogers will control its stations and Bell will control its stations. But here's the thing. I mean, that's a lot of people out of work, a lot of DJs that they don't need anymore. Now, they do say that they see this as being more of a tool for the DJs. But if you listen to the station, it's like, yeah, it's 100% AI run. And it's like, they don't need it. The DJs, they don't need program director. They don't really need anything. They don't even need a social media person contact. The AIs can just do the whole thing. And that's the start. Imagine once we're able to give them seamless looking, human avatars that they could then use on like network news. So that could be something that happens. Are you frozen? Oh, he froze. Okay. I was looking at Tim, and it was funny because it was like he wasn't moving at all. And I just kept going and going because I thought maybe he was deep in thought. But it appears he was not so deep in thought. Oh, he lost his internet. Okay. He just messaged me to let me know. So he'll be back soon enough, I guess. Until then, I will keep the show going. So, guys, what do you guys want to talk about? Just let me know, because I don't know if this is a big, long internet thing or if it's just a quick little internet thing. I'm just going to pull over the chat so I can see it a little bit better. All right. So, and I'm just pulling this up. Give me one more second, guys. When I'm talking with Tim, I have things sort of moved in a certain way. Like, it's funny because when I'm talking to somebody in the chat, I like to look at them. So what I do is I actually grab my window and I drag it over to pretty much behind, right behind the camera. That way there I can look at Tim and talk at the same time while I'm still looking fairly close to the camera. All right. And I think Tim is back. Either that or
yeah, sorry about that. It was
achieved it.
Oh, yeah, it was a bellman out there, or a Rogers guy working on it. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, okay.
It was his last shift.
Roger's trying to shut you down because we were talking too much about radio GPT.
Yeah, I know. It was like, uh-oh. I'm actually tethering it now. I have no idea. I've lost it for good.
Okay. Well, there we go. I just dragged you back so I can still look at you and the camera at the same time.
Thanks. What did I miss?
Yeah, exactly. Is it still bad weather there? Is that what put it out? Or
no, I don't know. We
still have lights, so.
Well, so yeah, we lost lights on Saturday night here, and it just down. Everything went down, right? And it's like, okay, that's interesting. We were having a bit of weather and stuff like that, and it was still daytime out. So okay. Nancy goes, I get a bad feeling about this. She goes, I'm gonna phone. We're gonna went on the internet and we go into the outages, no outages, something like that. Nancy says, you know what? I got a bad feeling about this. This just is something doesn't seem right. So she calls Hydro. Hydro goes, yeah, I'm not showing any outages. I'll send someone by. 20 minutes, the Oakville Hydro was by. He goes, he looks at the side of the house, and it's like, yeah, your wire's still there. Sure as anything, only 12 houses on a particular segment of the line lost it. And it was a bloody wire hanging off it, a branch had hit it. Had Nancy not called, we would have been in the dark. More than usual.
Yep. I got to see an interesting video this week. My mom sent me a video of an excavator destroying her house. So it was kind of interesting.
Are they going to leave the foundation?
They removed everything. They're starting it right from fresh.
So wow! So they're going to put a brand new foundation and everything, eh?
Yeah, it's now just a big mud. All mud. That's pretty much all that's there.
So, is there now new standards for building code for down there for like fire and water and stuff? I would imagine it has to be built to code
that far. So because she has to have well and septic. Because she's basically they stopped the water. Driving out towards her place, they stopped the water it's about a 10-minute drive to where they stopped the water. And then if you live past that, they're like, we'll bring the water out if everybody would give us $20,000. And nobody's willing to do it. So they're like, no, we're not paying $20,000.
No, no, and that reminds me, and I might have said it to you before, but did they? Because I mean, when you get that much water coming on, speaking of water, when you get that much water being doused on a structure, did it mess up her septic or her leach lines at all? Did she have that inspected?
No, but I imagine that she's getting a whole brand new well drilled, one that goes deep.
Yeah.
Because before, her well was just a dug well. So in the summer,
Dug
you'd be
well?
lucky-
What do you mean dug well?
just dug. It was like a hole in the ground that was dug down so deep. I mean, it had cement, like they cemented it.
Oh wow.
But here was the problem. In the summertime, we would basically run out of water usually at least once a month, if not sooner. And then
What?
it was like, yeah, and it was like roughly $200 just to have the water people come in and fill it back up.
Come on.
That's the way it
Were
worked.
you not? Was it not deep enough down?
It wasn't
to
super
get-
deep. It wasn't a super deep well. So that's
Oh.
why she's getting a professional well drilled. So one that goes down really, really deep so you don't have issues with water.
I'm just telling you, when you talk to her or email her or whatever, for God's sake, please make sure that they have done a proper inspection and that her septic is not pooch. Because the last thing you want to do is get a brand new built home and have that thing malfunction and back up or have to dig the whole yard up again.
Oh yeah. No, I think yeah, I'll mention that to her just because, but
Because the sheer weight of those excavators and stuff has got to be damaging the septic tank. Because you can't, I mean, those things are only what, maybe 18 inches down to the top. Ken?
No, some are lower. The older houses, they're actually deeper. Like I've dug down.
Now, where the excavator was, it doesn't look like it was in the area where the septic tank is at all.
But even if it's on the field, it'll crush the field.
Yeah.
Oh, please make sure she's got that, because it's like,
Older-
and it will cost the insurance more, because why not do it when everything's there?
Well, and that's the whole thing. I think that's all going to be taken care of. I mean, we're looking at the fact that she's trying to make a better house than she had originally. So, and that makes sense. I think part of it is that she's thinking about she doesn't want to live there forever, so she'll probably have the house, live there for a couple of years, and then sell it. So she's looking at the resale value.
Well, at least it'll be a bit better because the code will be different now that they have to rebuild it too.
Yeah. Well, here's the funny thing. They had only moved there about 10, 15 years ago. So they still had a mortgage. And the insurance company paid off the mortgage as well as buying them the house.
Oh.
So I don't know what type of insurance they had that plays for the mortgage, but
it's because their insurance was more than the mortgage itself. Like we owe 180-ish thousand on our house, but if our house burnt down, we qualify for 580. So that would cover the new build plus cover the mortgage. So,
oh, okay. Then that's
not saying that burning houses down is a way to get rid of your mortgage, but that's just the way it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Not burn down advice.
It's one of these things. Like she had an unfinished basement, and the new house will have a finished basement.
Nice.
And she hated the fact that the 2 bedrooms in the house were right next to the kitchen. So she's going to make sure that doesn't happen when they rebuild it. So she's going to have, I think, and plus she's doing something to make the driveway a little bit easier because her driveway was insane.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to be in better shape.
Now, was she electric heat?
Or
vents?
No, oil.
Oh.
Yeah, she had oil. Plus, she also had a heat pump as well. So
I wonder what they're going to do now.
Was electric because it would be pulling air in and warming it up and spitting out the warm air.
I don't think they do oil anymore.
No,
like on brand new installs, I don't think they do oil anymore.
It's propane. Everything's propane now.
Yeah, so she'll probably have. Yeah, but I think she'll probably be better off with propane. I imagine propane would be a little bit cheaper than the cost of furnace oil.
Yeah,
I would think so.
Yeah, so No, I think overall it'll be a better situation for her. But it was kind of weird just, seeing the actual excavator tear it down. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you get your new truck yet, Ken?
I get it on Friday. I had the choice of getting a ride down to Toronto to pick it up. And I was like, no, I don't want anybody to do my route. So my boss is going down to pick it up for me. And then I get just over a $2 raise starting tomorrow and an extra 60 cents per hour added to my pension.
And you didn't want somebody to do your route.
No, because when people do my route, they don't do it the way I do it.
So in other words, you just don't like it when people touch your shit.
Exactly, because they don't do it correctly. And then it's more of a pain the next week, just like when I went on vacation.
Oh, dear.
I got your joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a stream that we've already crossed lines.
Oh, pretty much you're handling it on your own there, Candace. It's just like...
Well, I can't cross lines on my stream.
so I'm going to go over to the Danters and just let go.
Yeah, just go over to the Danters and you can curse and have fun. And
that's funny.
So Ordinal Satoshi's doing really good. On their launch, they reached about a 400,000 market cap. That's with no money paid for marketing. That was all community driven. And now they're just under 100,000. But it's the way the contract's built. There's no tax. The only tax that they get 1% of every buy and sell submitted back to them from Uniswap. But there's no.
This is through Uniswap.
Yeah, but it's on ERC 1155, which is the it's for NFTs. It's not on ERC 20.
Wasn't that part of the fork when they did that?
What's that?
The ERC, the new ERC 1155.
Yeah, well, it's mainly made for
NFTs.
Yeah.
Wow,
you don't have to change nothing. It still runs through the ERC 20. When it gets to Uniswap does everything for you.
Yeah.
Well,
it was interesting, and I don't know if you caught it. I get these headline news comes up, and what's his name? Sam, whatever it is, Kentucky Fried Chicken guy there. He what were they going to do? They were going to go after him again for another arrest because of a alleged bribe of $40 million just before they went under.
I could see it. But the thing is, everything's on the blockchain, so all they got to do is just analyze it all, and they can figure out who had funds, where they went, when they cashed out.
But they don't. The problem with that is they don't know who the blockchain number is. Like, they can't go and say, "Oh, okay, I see that number on the blockchain," and they can't come and knock at your door because that's the whole idea of the privacy part of it.
They can do it. They can track the IP that accesses that address.
Yeah,
that's
maybe for
why you use the VPN.
Yeah,
well, that's what I was about to say. Maybe for the general public they can, because we're not that. Most of us are not that intelligent, me included, to have a VPN.
Yeah, but even a VPN, they can still. It just takes longer.
Oh, I imagine.
It just depends how much money they want to throw at it to get a technician.
Yeah.
To trace it all, right? That's the thing.
So use a double VPN.
If you're skirting the government for $5,000, they're not going to throw money at it. But if you're skirting the government for $5 million in possible tax, they'll throw the money at it, right? So.
Interesting. Watched a really neat film on Saturday, and I forget the name of it. It was about the three black women who created the code for NASA.
Right. I know which movie you're talking about.
Something figures, hidden numbers, hidden.
Yeah, I think it was Hidden Figures or something like that.
Wow, is it ever good?
I think it was Hidden Figures.
and how one sort of it had three different people doing three different things, and the one was the one writing the code for Ben. Oh my goodness, who was the first guy up that did the 7 orbits? Armstrong, not Armstrong.
Buzz
Anyway.
Aldrin?
No.
Sputnik?
No, they launched that because of the Sputnik. They didn't want to get behind, and they put the heat on for that. One was dedicated for the spacecraft itself and the reentry. The other one was they brought in this huge IBM, which was brand new to them and stuff, and even the guys from IBM couldn't get this thing going. And one of the ladies had that mathematical sense about her, and knew mechanics and stuff like that, and went in and just kind of changed a couple of wires, and it started spitting stuff out. So she headed that up, and the other lady actually became the first, I think, Negro engineer for NASA, which was kind of cool. So it was part of history that was really, really neat. If you want to watch something interesting, it's really pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was a good movie. I seen it a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So that's, I think, about that. Do you see the video clip of Elon with who was it from one of the networks, and he was in his tunnel with one of his Teslas.
Oh, that was the female reporter.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And basically, it's very, what it reminded me of was sort of a similar setup to the bumper cars, where it had those spring-loaded sort of wheels on it, where they hit the side and it would bounce it back and keep it straight. And the thing got up to, I forget, some astronomical speed, and it just went, and it was like, oh my god, like, because he's doing that tunnel boring, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who knows what this dude's going to be, but he isn't he who did I see, was it Jill or MC was saying that him and was it Tim Cook want to slow down AI now?
I saw something about that they're thinking that the whole AI race is going to basically take us down roads that we don't want to go yet. So in other words, develop AI faster than the safety protocols for AI. So that's kind of a recipe for AI to get a little out of control.
And here they are, they're going to put it on a radio station.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here the reality is, you've been dealing with AI for so long before it even became a buzzword that most people don't even realize it. Like a lot of times, a lot of these chats that you jump onto for different websites, a lot of them are already AI.
Well, and if we think about it, Siri is AI.
Yeah. Not a good AI.
No, but it was your inaugural sort of, pioneer.
Although there is a app that you can use ChatGPT's API key with this app, and it will basically give Siri the power of ChatGPT, so that way there she can use ChatGPT when you ask her for a question. She'll just put the question over to ChatGPT, get the answer back, and give it to you.
It's going to be interesting to see the effect that ChatGPT has on our education system, similar to the effect that allowing students to use calculators opposed to doing mental math had on us.
Yeah.
And then it began with Corel, WordPerfect, and autocorrect, auto type, and then it turned into Grammarly, and then all of this, and it's just, you can already see it in different. Maybe no one's making connections of dots and stuff, but it's like, I think people are inventing new things and they don't realize that it's like, oh well, we do need that. No, someone just happened to make that up.
Well, I think what it'll end up being is you'll get to a point maybe 20 years down the road where students will be being taught how to ask the right questions, how to use the correct prompts to get the information you want from the AI, whether it still be a chat GPT or whether it be something different at that point. Because that's kind of the way it works. Like, people aren't going to be.
I got a really good question.
Uh-oh.
When it comes to chat GPT, how is it going to differentiate using the terms they, them, and whatnot when it comes to the transgender community? Because in the English language, they and them is plural.
They'd probably be able to do it from context, I would think. You'd have to build the rules in to help them identify it.
That would be a lot of rules, because then you're building rules against proper grammar.
That would be interesting.
Right?
That's a question to ask ChatGPT.
That would be really interesting how it would differentiate that, because that's going against proper grammar.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That's just something to throw out there,
Yeah, no, and absolutely, because I know I was listening to a story about the girl from The Last of Us who is non-binary, and in this article they started off by calling them they, and at first I was just like, what? Wait a minute, what are they talking about? And then I dawned, oh my god, that's a pronoun. Okay, figured it out. But yeah, no, I think if I can figure it out, hopefully a ChatGPT can figure it out. But it may be something that it does take teaching it how to figure it out.
Yeah, that'll be interesting though, to see how if they can figure that out.
Yeah, well, I can ask them right now.
While you're doing that, I have a noun. It's called a snacksident. Eating an entire bag of potato chips by mistake, a snacksident.
Let me see.
I don't know how many times I've done that, Tim. Especially Pringles.
A man asked his wife, "What would you do if I won the lottery?" She replied, "I'd take half and leave you." "Great," he said. "We won $12. Here's your $6. Stay in touch."
That's funny that you mentioned that. Today on the radio, they were talking about that, the difference between men and women, and if they get a large inheritance or a large sum of money, men are more apt to actually settle down, have the settle down mind state, and possibly have kids, where the majority of women would be, I want my half and see you later.
Really?
Weird? Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's for men, because men still have that mentality that, they're the breadwinners. There's so much stress. If you're given a big lump sum of money, there's a lot of stress off you, right? So you can relax a bit more, right?
Yeah, I don't have that problem.
It was on the 95.9, the London radio station.
What did it say, Candace?
What did it say?
Well, I asked it to write a poem about a non-binary person.
And?
Well, here's one of the verses. They whispered to the world with a voice so clear, a message of courage to conquer the fear. For in every heart a story's begun, with they, them pronouns, a new chapter spun. So it seems to...
So it already recognizes it as...
Yeah, it recognizes them as pronouns.
If you use binary within the question.
Yeah, I think as long as it has... I think you have to give it the context. It needs that context.
Right.
So you should say can you ask it what is the proper way to address Mr. Smith?
All right, Mr. Smith. There we go. Let's see what, and this is ChatGPT 4. Let's see. And the fact that we're using Mr., we're already using a pronoun, so it's kind of just recognizing the program.
Yeah, because you can't really ask that question without giving. What do you delete in order to give it the clue? how do you phrase it so you don't give it the clue? You can't say, you can't reference gender. You can't reference suffix. You can't say father. You can't say dad because that's an obvious.
Yeah. Well, I just asked, how do you address a new person if you do not know their pronouns? We'll see what ChatGPT says. So when addressing a new person and you're unsure of their pronouns, it's best to use gender neutral language. You can use their full name, or if you're speaking directly to the person, you can use you and your. If you need to refer to the person in the third person, you can use the singular they as a gender neutral pronoun until you learn their preferred pronouns. That's what it says.
So to not offend anybody, you should use you.
Well, that's what I do when I don't know somebody's name, but I should know their name.
Yeah, you say, hey, you. Hey, you.
Hey,
what do you do?
You're like my favorite person. And then
What's
I'm
your
like,
name again?
and then I'm like, when I do need that person's name, I'm like, I've been having trouble spelling your name correctly. And then Tim just gruffly goes, it's Tim. I'm like, thanks. But no, that's how it always turns out. Like if I try to do that tactic, like how do you spell your name? I want to make sure I get it correctly in my book here or whatever. It always turns out to be something easy. It's like, oh yeah, oh.
Well, the dilemma that I have, no disrespect to the audience here tonight and anyone who's viewing this, is that sometimes when I'm in car and I see someone for just a strictly one-off assessment, I can't pronounce their name. Like, I mean, because of the nationality, and it could be any type of nationality, and it's like, so now I gotta watch what I say now.
Well, no, if you take a look at their first name, if you can find a short form of something in it, you can ask them if you can refer to them as that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I do. Yeah, so now that I think about it, I say, I'm having trouble with pronouncing your name. How do you pronounce it, or how do you wish to be addressed? How do you want to be addressed?
And the guy's like,
True.
call me Petey. My friends call me.
Yeah, well, some of the things they give me, it's like, that's even worse. I can't do that. So it's like, you turn left, you turn right. I am not. You
Today
are.
you are student number 47289.
That's exactly true. That's exactly true. Yeah. Yeah, it's sad. It's I got a whole bunch of that tomorrow in London going on.
Yeah.
People with stroke and dementia, and it's like one person is do or die tomorrow. They went for their initial assessment and they were identified as being a possible candidate for some additional remedial training, and they've had a couple of sessions, and tomorrow is the do or die one, and they live out in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, at least nobody will get hurt.
Yeah, but they're older, and the sob story is like, even my kids won't come. I need milk. How do I go and get milk? It's like,
gotta move. That's what my grandmother did. My grandmother sold her house out in Courtright, waterfront property, to move closer in town so she didn't have to burden people because she was closer.
Yeah, it's yeah. Anyway.
Oh dear.
Well, it's 8:04. Do you know where your kids are? Oh, sorry, wrong channel.
What channel was that for?
That used to be that was the Buffalo station.
Oh.
It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are? Yeah. Just before they would go into either the nightly news or they sign off. So anyway, you have your releases coming up tomorrow. Your live stream on the weekend, Candace.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow is everybody voted for a redo on Scotiabank.
What? Really?
Yeah. So everybody wanted Scotiabank. They're getting Scotiabank
Is that
tomorrow.
what I voted for? You know what I thought about is a comparison between Life Labs and Dynacare.
Life Labs.
Life. What did you say? Say that again. Say it again. Say it again.
Life Labs.
No.
No.
Life. What did you say?
I said
Life-
Life Labs.
Oh, this is so getting cut and putting online all over the place.
Because she keeps going back. Life Labs, where you get your
Life
your,
Labs. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Well, that's different. I thought you said Life Labs. So
You thought I said a couple of things at the beginning of the show that weren't
well,
true.
you said Life Labs. I was thinking it was
did
Jim.
not.
I was
did
like-
so. I did so. And then
Anyway.
Dynacare. It'd be interesting to see the comparison on those two, just because they're those bloody places are always good.
Yeah.
I think they're publicly held.
Maybe I'll look into it. I mean, see if I can fit it in.
Well, no, just
sometime.
I mean for something that's a month or so or whatever.
It
Or just
definitely
when-
will probably be at least a month or so down the road. But
yeah, no, I'm just thinking that would just put it in your
oh, and then this weekend I got a GIC video coming out. So it's all about GIC, the qualifications, and the weird scenarios that can sometimes affect GIC.
Is it still worth it to invest? Is that still the safe way to go as a GIC, or is it with everything that's going to? Oh, and that's what they were. Didn't they say that?
Sorry, not GIC, GIS. See, you got me off
I'm gonna
because
do
of the light flabs. I'm
Wow.
like,
Yes. Okay. Yes.
no,
So-
GIS, guaranteed income supplement. So we're going to look at that.
And that wasn't that one of the reasons that Freeland said that they were going to start to put money back in the pockets of 11 million Canadians was to they're estimating and this is the first time I think I've seen it. I mean, out there, but I've seen it, a mild recession.
No, there's definitely a lot of. In fact, the stock market may have already priced in a mild recession.
Mm.
So that's interesting all by itself. But yeah, there is talk of a mild recession, and well, I think it's going to happen. But here's the beautiful thing: is that at least for the stock market, the sooner this recession starts, the sooner we're into the bull market. Because bull markets sometimes bull markets will even begin at the beginning of the recession.
Well, it's interesting because the jabber with about Bitcoin and gold and stuff has started up somewhat again, and
Yeah.
so
Oh, I
where
heard a
that goes-
metaverse story today.
what's that?
Is that I even heard a metaverse story today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so Disney's been laying off folks, and they just completely canceled all their metaverse projects
Ooh,
because they were like, nope, we're just not putting any money into that right now. So all those people who were involved with their metaverse projects were laid off.
ouch.
Yeah, so no Disney in the metaverse for at least until the economy gets better and somebody actually gets the metaverse up and running to the point that people want to come into it. Because I think a lot of people still don't really want to go into the metaverse right now.
Yeah, it was a big hype, wasn't it?
It kind of was. It hyped and it died quickly.
Same with
Yeah.
NFTs. NFTs,
Yes.
remember that?
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
was reading their comic books on Vivi, and then all of a sudden,
Now they're worthless.
now you got the metaverse. Same play.
I got a question. Was it? I don't know whether it was one of you that has an Oculus Rift.
No, not I.
Andrew has one.
Andrew, okay. So, because I was looking at that, and it's another guy I watch on YouTube, one of my more mellow channels, and he had an Oculus Rift, and he was going through. I don't know what he was going through. It seemed it was something that was similar to kind of like the game you play, Ken, online.
Mhm.
But I was wondering if you had a GoPro. You gonna be okay, Candace?
Yeah.
Jesus, I thought, what the hell is she doing? Having a heart attack, and it's for the cat.
No.
What
The
in
cat
God's
wanted
name?
to jump. No, now you just scared the cat. The cat's like, what the hell is the computer talking at me for? But no, yeah, no. That was just my okay. I was like, okay, you can jump up.
I'm
It's the end of
thinking
the
she's
screen.
tapping herself. Why is she tapping herself? What the fuck? She's gonna start going up and down in the chair. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, no. It was all about the kitten. And she's still wearing her onesie because she got spaded. So
This is PG. Anyway, can you actually so if I bought like a GoPro 360, could I use that I capture on that with my? It's flying now. With an Oculus, or does it have to be a different type of camera? I don't know the answer. Anyone in the comments
think
really
you
know
can
about that?
because
How
I
can I
think
create my own stuff?
I think the Oculuses are built for human eyes, right? The lens is different in it. But I know there's videos online of it where, you can see what I see. So
Yeah, but I was thinking of like being able to like do a drive down a scenario with I call it a GoPro 360, but having that footage and being able to use an Oculus to go around and look around and all that. But I guess you can't.
so add your own footage.
Correct.
That I don't know. You should be able
That I
to Google that pretty easily.
apparently, it's not directly compatible with a GoPro camera. It primarily functions with VR compatible games applications and 360-degree videos, where the GoPro is an action camera used to capture real life. That's what GPT-4 just said.
So you should be able to take video and upload it to it then. Use YouTube.
You can watch the video you do with your GoPro on the Oculus. You'll have to transfer the footage to your computer or a smartphone and then convert it to a format that the Oculus will use. Once again, ChatGPT-4 to the rescue.
Coming up in the next playlist.
She's still talking about it too.
I know. It just keeps on going. It's like, okay, hit the delete button. That's good. Ken, what do you got going on? I see. Did you make it on the weekend? I was looking for you.
Yeah, I was on.
You weren't on Friday night.
Yeah, I was on Friday because I was streaming the launch. Yeah, I was on twice
last weekend.
I was on twice on Friday.
Uh-oh.
I started streaming at like 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Oh, that's right. Because you just let it run. You just let it run, and I was going in. It's like,
it was just the chart. And then after that, then I went back on. And then, I was on Saturday at 10:30.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
It should be on Friday and possibly Saturday again.
So is Trump actually going to get indicted?
Who knows? The funny thing is if he actually got indicted, it could actually help him with the election results.
I know.
So in a way,
well, no. If he got indicted and found guilty, then he can't run for presidency, and that's what they're trying to do right now.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So they need to have, and this is the thing. I don't think they're going to go on his timetable, because when he came out and said that I'm going to be indicted on Tuesday, they came out, the next week, and they said we said nothing of the sort. We have no plans to indict him at this moment at all. So they want an ironclad case. They don't want something simple. And I think the whole Stormy Daniels thing is it's just too simple. I think they want bigger stuff.
Well, they need to tie that to election funds.
Yeah.
Right? If they can tie that to election funds, then
you tie that to some bigger stuff, and then that way you're going to get them. But we'll have to see how that happens. It may not even happen at all. I mean, the Republicans are very powerful.
Look, at the end of the day, is it really necessary
to keep him?
There's part of me that hopes he does run in the next election, because it'll make it interesting, no matter what the outcome is.
But does it really, with all the shenanigans that every single person in power is susceptible to, is it really worth the time, effort, and money to prove whether this guy did what he did? Does it, in the grand scheme of life, does it matter?
No, because that was before his presidency, right? But if he used campaign money, then that's a little different. If he used his personal funds, that's his personal life. If he used campaign money, that's a different story right there. You know, that's just like paying off an elected official, you know, in a sense, right? He's paying
Yes.
her to keep her mouth shut, right? But
Yeah.
look at the two sides of the sword, though. You got Trump, or you're going to have DeSantis. Do you want DeSantis? He's doing the cancel gay and LGBTQ and all that stuff in Florida right now.
Is he really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's pulling books out of libraries. And yeah.
That's informing people about this?
Yeah. He wants to not.
So he's like a white Anglo-Saxon. He's
a fascist. He's trying to erase kindergarten to grade 12, knowing anything about homosexuality, anything about transgenders. Yeah.
So is he also doing that with sex education?
Yeah. Yep.
Really?
So do you want that as your president, or do you want Trump?
So just a second. Okay, fair enough. He takes the printed matter out of the libraries. He takes the printed matter out of the educational system. But there's something that's called the internet that's a way bigger and more accessible than that. And it's like
you can't change the internet.
What battle is he trying to win here?
I don't know. I don't know why he's being like that. I don't know what the line is.
That doesn't.
By pulling by pulling certain books, it changes the whole curriculum. You know, it's just like this whole cancel culture. They want to erase our history. Why do you want to erase our history? We need it there so that we can be reminded and don't do stupid things again. You know, it doesn't make sense. But that's your other elected official that apparently is going to run for presidency. So the lesser of two evils, right?
Yeah. And he's actually apparently set up a council for Disney that will basically control their policies in Florida.
There's something with him and Disney. I remember reading about it. And
they about $45 million or something like that, or there was money involved about Disney saying "screw you," we'll pull out of Florida or something like that.
Yeah, because of because Disney supports gays and the LGBTQ community, and he's trying to do a cancel culture thing on them, right? And Disney's just like, well, we'll leave, no problem.
But doesn't that mess with the Charter of Rights?
No, technically not. That's why he can get away with it.
Yeah, each state has a lot of power in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's how you can get states where they will make it illegal for you to leave the state to go get an abortion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you leave the state pregnant and come back, that's an offense. You go to jail for it.
No comment.
Right? So it's like that Hunger Games movie, you know, right? Every faction has their own rules. And
well, it's like North Carolina making it illegal to sneeze underwater. I mean, come on.
Well, it's just in case you inhale right after you sneeze, you could drown, right? That makes sense.
Anyway. I've never sneezed underwater.
No?
No, I don't think it's possible.
Oh, sure it is.
Have you done it?
Yeah. Mind you, I had a diving mask on. That wasn't pretty. It's like,
oh.
Wow.
Went to the optometrist. I saw floaters. Oh, wait. And folks, on that note, we are going to chime out. We will hopefully see you next week. And tune into Candace's Mountain Finance for all her good releases coming up. Her live stream on Sunday, 4:00. And Ken on the freaking Oracle, which is usually Friday nights between 8 and 10 sometimes, depending on whatever he finishes supper or whatever.
So when you sneezed underwater, did you have
Oh,
an
here we're back
Achuba
at that.
adventure?
I knew I wasn't going to get off on that. What's that?
I just did
No,
you
it's
have
like, and my snorkel went snorky.
no, it was like an Achuba adventure instead of scuba, Achuba.
I just want to know where he was hiding the Kleenex this whole time to wipe
What?
his snort.
No, doesn't, okay. Call me crazy, not to my face, but doesn't chlorine make people sneeze? It makes me sneeze. Chlorine makes, like, if I've ever been in a pool and it's been strong enough or whatever the case is, or I have sneezed. Who
I don't
started this
sneeze.
anyway? Who started this whole thing?
I feel it harder to breathe.
I've
like,
never sneezed in a pool.
outside the pool.
It makes me chlorine will make me sneeze. On that note,
Achoo.
Oh dear.
yeah. Be careful of the boogeyman.
This was an odd episode.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Say goodnight, folks.
Good night, folks.
Good night, Gracie.